Hi, I'm Sam. I'm an artist, graphic designer and illustrator from Leicester, England. I like travelling, creating, cooking, going to the game, jumping in the water and stuffing my face. In early 2023, I decided to put all my stuff into storage, sell my car and go travelling, embracing life as a digital nomad, flying around the world and working remotely in other countries. So far, it's been a blast. I've been making memories, exploring different cultures and embracing different ways of life. I've made a bunch of new friends, had a bunch of visitors from back home come out to stay with me, tried local cuisines, fell into tourist traps and had way too much sunshine. Some of my favourite days since I've been away are the days where I've put the iPad in a bag, gone for a wander until I found somewhere to post up, enjoying the scenery and drawing something. So I want to bring you with me as I document my journey and try to adjust to life on the move, finding inspiration and living my dream of working and travelling, drawing and exploring. What's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of Drawing and Exploring with me, Sam Grubb. Today I'm in Cetinje, which is the former capital of Montenegro. So it was founded in 1482, and it's a really small place. There's 12,000 people live here as per a census in 2011, 15,000 in the surrounding areas. Like I said, former capital, so there's a whole bunch of stuff here. They've got the centre, the National Museum of Montenegro's here, the National Art Gallery, stuff like that. You've got the home of the president, so the president of Montenegro lives here. It's about maybe an hour's drive from Podgorica, which is the current capital. I've got my friend Brad staying with me, so we came and took a little drive out just now. It's early evening, but it's really cool. It's a nice place, it looks quaint. We literally just pulled up. It sits below Mount Lovchen, which is a mountain with a lot of history attached to it. And I'm reading about some of the former industry on the Wikipedia page, and it's saying it used to thrive. It used to be a big printing place, and they used to have a publishing house that released over 3,000 really important books, talking about like Montenegrin history and stuff like that. So pretty cool, but really nice place, really little place. It's really quaint, and we're going to have a little bit of an explore. We're seeing signposts on the way in for cable car stuff. But we're struggling to find where it is, and it looks like there's a cable car link between the mountain and Kotor, which is another nearby city in Montenegro. Everything's nearby in Montenegro, it's a tiny place. But we're struggling to find it, so we're going to see if we can figure that out. If not, we might just have a mooch around and look at some of the sites. The annoying thing is, in Montenegro, they're really on this everything shuts down on Sunday thing, and it's proving to be a real problem, because Sunday's the day when I like to go do the big supermarket trip and stuff like that. And whereas back home, we'll have the thing where, say, big Tesco closes at 4 p.m. and you still have all the little Tesco extras open. Just doesn't seem to be the case here. It's like everything absolutely shuts down on Sunday. We were just trying to buy like a can of Coke earlier, and it's impossible to find a shop. We've got these tiny little kiosks, but outside of that, and seemingly bakeries that are allowed to stay open, it's just like everything shuts down completely. So it's frustrating. It's hard to find. I know it's like a first world problem, but I'm like, surely just give some kid on some 0-hour contract the Sunday shift and just open the shop up and continue to sell the bits and bobs. So it's a Sunday. There's a good chance the cable car's closed down for the day, just because that's how these guys roll. But nonetheless, it looks like a cool place. We're going to have a mooch around, have a little explore and see what's going on. So kind of like I've been learning with all these countries around here, the Ottomans massively had a hand in it in the 1500s, sticking their oar in invading and doing all that sort of stuff. And then you had the Byzantines as well, who were sticking their head in. And who's the other one? I always forget. Oh, the Venetians were here. So progress of the city was kind of halted throughout the years. It was really interesting reading the Wikipedia. It was saying like they had these little spells where they really cracked on. And like I said, it's the center of culture. They've got the National Library, there's the National Museum of Montenegro and all that sort of stuff. And there's a bunch of kind of old-timey buildings. Like here you can see this monastery in the background. Pretty spectacular, cool to see. We just had the bell ringing out. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of old buildings here. It's cool. It's like all cobbled roads. It seems really quiet. I think all these countries, what I've learned, like obviously Montenegro kind of, like the other countries around it, it's former Yugoslavian state. So a lot of stuff was repressed and a lot of stuff was halted. And now it's like, you know, if you're a fan of history and just coming and having a look around, a bunch of stuff remains. And it's kind of, I think they put a lot of their national funding into maintaining the grounds and keeping the parks nice. There's always like somewhere chill to sit in Montenegro. So yeah, gonna check out the monastery. Only problem is, it's Sunday evening, right? We got down here about 6 p.m. So it's a nice quiet vibe, but you've also like, there's not much chance of getting in anywhere and seeing the insides. I saw on YouTube a picture of a crazy church and the inside of it, but I'm not sure we'll get the chance to go inside there. But either way, nice to come and have a look around. So it's a white stone Orthodox Christian monastery built in 1704 upon medieval ruins, apparently. We walk through the little doorway and there's signs there saying no recording, no pictures. And then I think this guy was a random punter. He just said, no photo. I'm like, okay, cool. Obviously still got a sly photo. And when we go in, there's a little fella there in his little hat and he's shaking a kind of a, I don't know what you call it, a little lamp sort of thing, just with some incense in it. Everyone's got their beads out, giving them a rub, having a little prayer. Fellow up top reading from the big book, having a bit of a sing-song. Felt very tense, very intense. I'm kind of like, I don't know, sometimes I'm glad that religion's not for me. Sometimes I think it must be wicked just to have like a moral guide in life, meet people, know that they're morally aligned to you. Other times I just think, wow, it seems intense. I want no part of it. This was definitely one of those times. I'm looking at these people, I'm thinking, I've kind of walked through, and me and Brad have walked through, and then this guy's like ushered us out the way, like, come to the side, come to the side. And I'm thinking, this fella's knocking about, spreading his incense or whatever. I'm thinking, I don't know, he can hang on, whatever. I've walked out his way anyway and he's gone by us, but I'm thinking, it doesn't require a third party to tell us to move when we're already moving. It seems like a very heavy burden to bear sometimes. But yeah, there's your monasteries of the world. Couldn't get much footage inside, just a little bit. We had to pop on a little wrap just to cover our legs and stuff. But yeah, Cetinje. So we're here, a bunch of old stuff to do. Said it's been the cultural centre of Montenegro for 5 centuries. So there's everything here. I think coming on a Sunday night, like I said, we're not going to get to see much other than the structures, but still kind of fun. But now I want to talk about the drawing. This is going to be another week where I'm punching the drawing in. So I started something earlier in a little coffee shop in Podgorica, just when we was kind of figuring out what we were doing with the day. And what I want to draw is, when I was in Mexico, I went to, what was the place called, man? Can't remember the name of this little city, but it was a random little city just outside Puebla where I was. And I just went there for a day trip. And they said there's randomly a bunch of redhead settlers there. And they said they're kind of their own people. They speak their own language as well. And I'm just getting a few little clips of this place, just putting a couple videos up on my Instagram story. And I got this one clip of this Ford just driving by. It's sunset. You've got the volcano in the background. And it was just a really nice shot. And so when I put it up, my friend was saying to me, she was like, oh, that's so gorgeous. And I was thinking, you know what, it'd be cool to like make a print of it and try and do like a digital painting of it and make it look quite quaint and nice. So that's what I've been working on. I'm going to finish it off, I guess, and obviously put it in this section. But I got about halfway through it earlier and it was coming on quite nice. So I'm going to put that into the video now. Me and Brad are going to go mooch around a little bit more, maybe get a little bite to eat and see what else Cetinje's got to offer. So right now it's going to cut to me drawing this thing. Okay. Yeah, so this was literally earlier that day. This coffee shop, I think when Brad was out, we went most days and it was a good vibe. You get in there, there's a few laptops out, people chilling, doing their thing. So it was a nice working environment. The place, Chipilo, I think I went there. So the dudes in episode 4 that I painted the mural with, Jonathan and Jonathan in Cholula, like I said in the video, I was going to try and meet them again. The day I did meet them again to paint, that was the evening when I went to this place, Chipilo. And it was really interesting. I've got the Wikipedia page here. It says, although the city of Puebla, which was Puebla State, has Puebla City in it, and then maybe like 45 minutes away is this Chipilo. So it says, although the city of Puebla has grown so far to almost absorb it, the town of Chipilo remains isolated for much of the 20th century. Thus, the Chipilinos, unlike other Italian immigrants that came to Mexico, did not blend into the Mexican culture and retain most of their traditions and their language. To this day, most of the people in Chipilo speak the Venetian of their great-grandparents. The variant spoken by the Chipilinos is the northern, Feltrino Bellunese. Surprisingly, it has been barely altered by Spanish as compared to how the dialect of the northern regions of Veneto has been altered by the Italians. Given the number of speakers of Venetian, and even though the state government has not done so yet, the Chipilo Venetian can be considered a minority language in the conurbation of Puebla. Not sure what that word means, but yeah, that's a rough idea what's going on there. But yeah, I'm getting into this one. So as you can see, did the little line drawing just to kind of mark out the different areas. Then my plan is just to delete that at the end and use it as like a reference to fill these bits in. Still kind of going down this path where I'm trying to draw without a big thick outline and just see if I can make something that looks a little bit different. So you're on a journey of discovery with me here. But good fun. I always try to use some different brushes, but I end up just referring to the ones that I really like. So this is a Freycinet brush. The software I'm using is Procreate. It's on a 12.9 inch 5th generation iPad Pro, and I'm using a 2nd generation Apple Pencil to do the drawing. I was thinking, you know what? Cars are one of those things that I take photos of as I go around. I'm sure if you've watched other episodes, you see the little bits of B-roll where it's just like a car with a load of characters sat on the roadside. And I was thinking I definitely want to make a series of these cars, different prints of different cars in different countries. It's a tough one, this, because it's like I don't want to overcook it, so I'm trying to like leave it pretty sparse and make it quite graphic, but then it's also fun dialing into the little details. And I think my eye's not nearly as good as it used to be. I think when I was at university and I'm drawing all the time, maybe it's just rose tinted glasses, because I look back at some of my drawings and they're disgusting. But I think I was much better at like observation. You know, we did a lot of life drawing and stuff like that, so I think just kind of looking at something and drawing straight from it, I was much better than I was. And that goes down to like even little shadows and little crevices and how the light hits things and stuff like that. I keep going back to the photograph just to make sure that the colours are right and try and keep it true to life as much as possible. With things like the sunset sky, I remember I tuned that up a little bit just to make it a little bit brighter, but I didn't want it to be too crazy. I wanted it to kind of look photographic. And same for like where the orange light was hitting the front of the car. I made that a lot brighter than it was in real life. But yeah, just adding those little shadow bits, trying to get it right. Thin lines. And then also trying to just use colours from within the composition. So like, say for example, if the black that's in the composition isn't quite black, it might be like 90% brown or something like that. Getting those deets in. Yeah, I think I'm going to follow this one down route. I showed it to a friend, the one who said about the story initially, and she was like, wow, so nice, print it, let me buy one. So I'm thinking, yeah, I need to, I should do them, maybe some of the Bochos, the Volkswagens from Mexico, and out here there's a bunch of dinky little Golfs and old Volkswagens and stuff like that, so they'd be pretty cool to draw. Some of the old Mercedes from Albania as well. I know there was like, I guess some 90s Mercedes that had landed there that looked really cool. Yeah, filling it in. The one thing that I wish Procreate did that it doesn't do is have a better control over the width of the brush. So if you look at the two little sliders that are just on the left side of the canvas there with the two kind of white dials on them, you move them up and down, right, to adjust the thickness or the opacity of the brush. And what I wish I could do is like you can click the button and make a little plus and it kind of snaps to where you've set it to. Then you can see by the size of the bar, you're only moving the pen a tiny little bit across the tablet, and you're going up like 3%, 4%. So I kind of wish that, I wish there was a thing where, you know, you could dial into that a bit bigger, because the difference between say 2% and 3% with the size of a brush, especially if you're working on a smaller canvas, is considerable. So it's a bit annoying. Sometimes I'll be like working on a project, I'll shift the brush up to like a bigger size or something to fill in a section, and then finding the exact place I was before proves difficult. But then I don't necessarily just want to save one thickness, I want to save a few different thicknesses, but they might just be like 2%, 3% and 4%. And on this tiny little dial, it's impossible to set a placeholder for 3% as well as 2% without it just snapping back to 2%. So I don't know, maybe there's a long way around it if you get different brushes or something, or if you alter the brushes that are there and just save them as slightly thicker ones. Maybe that's a different way around it, but I'm not too sure. But now I'm just making do. I like this zooming right in on these little bits and just trying to add as much detail as possible. It's tough because the still that I was following was from a video. It wasn't the most, wasn't the clearest, and I think by the time I came to do the drawing, I'd cleared the original version off my camera roll, so I just had the version that I downloaded from Instagram. So it was a little bit foggy, a little bit more pixelated than I'd want it to be, but it was good enough to get the job done. Not trying to completely trace it and trying to just embellish a little bit here and there where it's required. I think as well there's these really nice stippling brushes where you can really have fun with like creating shadows and texture, and I think kind of looking at this, I'd be keen to introduce that to some other pieces. That I think it might have been episode 5, I think. No, not 5, maybe, gosh, I really don't know, maybe 7, where I did this an illustration of like a blue dude jumping over a Volkswagen, and in that I'd used the stippling brushes. They come up really nice. It was probably the first time I'd used them, so I think, yeah, I need to lean on those a little bit more. Yeah, you can see there, like I said, with the orange section on the front of the car, it's just a little bit brighter. I think I've still not set it in just yet, but you can see it's a bit brighter than it needs to be. Trying to add a little shadow as well, put the forward detail in. A little bit more in the background. So I've just drew the car in a separate layer, I think, just to drop it in, and then I can just touch up the edges around the illustration. So like the little bits that peek through the window still show, and the consistent. Here I'm just going through and just touching up the little bits in the background where I didn't have them covered up by the car. Funny with this, the way the white balance is messing around, and the sunset actually looks like a sunset with the overexposure, like there, for example. Putting the wires in, just moving those around a little bit. At first I wasn't sure about these. I was thinking whether it detracted from it, but it did look a bit plain without that in. Just the sky on its own, it didn't look so great. A little bit more. This is one of those stipple brushes I was talking about. I'm just introducing a tiny touch of it onto some of the concrete surfaces just to make them not so flat. So I'm bad for this. I'm just looking there at the layers palette and it's such a mess. There I'm just adding a little bit of a hue just through the car window so they look like they've got a slight kind of tint. I'm just using the picture of the car for reference here just to add some little details in. I wonder where those dudes are. I think about this sometimes when I draw stuff like this. I think those guys don't even know that I've sat for hours and drew a picture of them. I always wonder if you're in the background of any other couple's iconic photos or whatever. You're that guy who's in the back of that bar photo that they love or something. I don't know. Here's the final piece. A blue Ford in Chipilo. I've copied in a Mexican number plate there just to get the form right and traced over the top of that. We're getting some steps in, man. Drawing's finished. I think I might turn that one into a print. That's why I wanted to draw it in A3. I just thought it'd be some nice wall art maybe. But yeah, we're going to find somewhere to eat, having a mooch around. Like I said, it's super quiet. It's really chill. Feels like a Sunday. There's kids playing out all over the shop. People just going about their business, sat in little cafes and stuff. And I think we're going to find a little grill. There was a couple signposted on the way into town. We went by one and the guy was like, oh, you're going to be waiting about an hour to get seated. Wasn't even busy. So God knows what they're doing. Maybe they've just put new coals on or something like that. But yeah, I think we're going to try find a little spot. I know they've got one of the Montenegrin dishes that I've been enjoying. They've got these little kind of pork, like meatballs, almost like a kofta kind of. A little bit shorter, a little bit rounder. But yeah, they serve them with like fries and pickles and stuff like that. So I'm in the mood for something like that. Something light and easy, nothing to prove. So yeah, I'm gonna go find something to eat now. So this translates to Black Mountain and refers to the dark forest that's once covered the Dinaric Alps. It was a nice little spot, simple one. Look, there's the bits and bobs we're talking about. Plate full of meat, chips, and a little bit of salad. Can't go far wrong. I knew this would happen at some point, right? So here's me. Normally I'll record with that 0.5 wide angle lens on the iPhone. This is just a normal one. So yeah, a little bit closer, and some of the stuff in the foreground's a little bit out of focus. But I'm getting it popping anyway. Look at this. Treating it like a barbecue, little hot dog kind of vibe. Bit of bread, chips going down, stuff on my face. Cucumber. The cucumbers really weren't good so far in the Balkans. I don't think they were nice, but they've been slicing the skin off, and I'm realizing that the skin is the part. It's kind of thick and rough, and some of the insides of some of them, they taste a little bit like a marrow kind of. But yeah, getting it done, man. The pork skewers were particularly good. Drinking the water, you know what time it is. Little hydration station. Look at this technique now. Not even breaking the piece of bread, that's just flushing there. Teaching you guys the patterns here. Skewers going down absolutely beautifully. Yeah, £12.33. Look at that. Is that not a sight of absolute pure beauty? What a beautiful dinner. I feel like that was an absolute speed run today. Probably got to the city at about what, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, something like that, and just quick look round. Got some food, checked out some of the sites. Like I say, most places were closed, but there's some cool buildings. You can definitely tell that this was a bit of a centre, and they've got like these huge buildings that's like the embassy, or what else do we see? The Royal Theatre, stuff like that. Cool place, glad to have visited. Be nice to come back maybe when some more stuff's open and just have a look what's going on. But yeah, it brings us to the end of the episode, guys. Thanks to everyone who watched. If you're my people and you tuned in, thank you so much. If you're not, and you're a random who just landed on the channel, thank you also. Just got to shout out the socials. So if you want to follow along and kind of see what's going on, the best place is to go on the Instagram. So if you go to Instagram at samgrubart, and there you'll see kind of all the projects and all the stuff I'm working on. The TikTok's the same, that's at samgrubart as well. I've started posting onto there, so if you're a TikToker, go give me a little follow on that. What else? I feel like this list is just growing and growing. I've got the shop. I always forget to shout the shop out. If you want to buy t-shirts or art prints, or I bet the print from today's episode is going to be on the shop by the time this episode comes out, actually. So if you want to buy t-shirts, stickers, art prints, postcards, things like that, you want to go to shop.samgrub.co.uk. You can find everything there. Also, the portfolio website is samgrub.co.uk. So if you want to go check that out, there's some bigger kind of wider projects there. I'm due to give it a spruce up. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, the main thing that I want to shout out as ever is I'm trying to make this thing work. I'm trying to figure out how to be a digital nomad and just kind of keep this lifestyle rolling, wake up in the sun, make sure that everything's all right. And if you want to help me do that, the best way is just to commission some work. So if you found this video and you're looking for someone to create a logo for you and your brother's XL Bully brand, then shout me. I'm the man for the job. You want to contact me, contact drawing and exploring at gmail.com is the email. So if you shoot me an email there, hopefully we can have a chat about your project, make it work. And what I'd love to do is take stuff where people are landing on these videos, they're finding out about me, they're finding out about the kind of work I do. And I'd love to be able to use that work in future episodes of Drawing and Exploring. So like I said, if that sounds like something that you want to commission, get in touch. The email address is contactdrawingandexploring@gmail.com. But right now, stuffed to the gills, full of those little meatball things. We're going to find our way back to the car. Got about an hour drive back to Podgorica. And then, yeah, we're going to chill out. It's the Olympics at the minute, so we're going to watch some of the Olympics later, some of the highlights, I think. But yeah, like I said, guys, thanks for locking in, staying with me to this point. I'll see you next time for another episode of Drawing and Exploring.